Hello everyone, Morgie Roy here again, and today I just wanted to talk about ending a campaign and how do you do it. Not many people get to the end of a campaign. A lot of things can happen. Sometimes players have to leave, sometimes the DM has to stop running the game for some reason. There's fights, there's schedule changes, there's life changes, and sometimes a campaign does not reach its natural conclusion. But when a game does reach its natural conclusion, what do you do? How do you handle that? Well, for me, it depends on the length of the campaign. I have been running a campaign for about 3 years, as I've talked about many times. And I've also run a shorter campaign of The Lost Mine of Phandelver. It was 10 sessions long, and it ended at the end of that campaign path, and it's because it was just a filler campaign to give our DM a bit of a break. We didn't really continue it, even though I think there is a continuation module that you can do at that campaign. So we knew it was going to be a short campaign. So in that circumstance, the campaign ended, and I had just gave each player a couple minutes to describe what happened to their character after that. And let them describe it themselves. And I gave a bit description of what happened to the town of Phandelver and how the characters were treated by the town. Now, I have not finished a campaign myself as a DM, but I have been a player in a campaign that went from 1 to 20 and was over 100 sessions long. And it's a very emotional time when a campaign that long ends. You spend a lot of time with your characters, especially if no one has passed away and you've had to replace them with a new character. You've played with those characters for many years, usually. You have made lots of relationships with the other characters, you've made lots of relationships with NPCs, probably. And it's a lot to wrap up. So what I would suggest you do, and what my DM did at the end of this very long campaign, is that we had an entire session where we just went over each character's life after the campaign was over. We covered what they did in the next couple of days. We covered what they did in the next couple of months. We covered what they did in the next couple of years, long-term goals. And then we eventually went over how they died, if they did die. And it ended up being, once we got through everyone, 5 players, it ended up being an entire session just of that. And it was bittersweet, and it was fun, and it was sad. It was a lot of emotions, but that seemed to be the best way to do it for everyone. We also had an end of campaign wrap up where we asked our DM some questions about some plot lines that never got resolved. We, told her what we enjoyed about it. Wasn't too much to say, we didn't really have any complaints, so we didn't really have anything to say what we didn't like about it. But we told her what we enjoyed about it. One player had the idea of making a trivia game. Since the campaign was so long, we would have a trivia game going over some of the plot points throughout and seeing how well we remembered them. And we did that fairly recently when we've already started another campaign after that. And it kind of, made us remember the campaign really fondly and bring back all these memories, even though we're well into our next campaign. That campaign still stays in our minds. Now, if you are going to have your next campaign in the same world as your previous campaign and you are a DM, there are things you want to consider. You want to consider how long you should start your campaign after the previous one ended. Is it going to be a year after the previous campaign? Is it going to be 10 years? Is it going to be 100 years? Is it going to be even longer? And how the world has changed because of the actions your previous characters did. But you should always take a break between campaigns as a DM and as players. Have someone else run a short campaign. Have someone else run some one-shots to take a little break. Give everybody a chance to review over their feelings about the campaign and come up with characters for the next campaign, work with the DM with whatever setting you're going to use, whether it's the old setting or a completely new setting. Work with your DM to make new characters for that setting, and give yourself time to reflect and let that previous campaign settle in. My campaign that I'm running, that I've been running for almost 4 years now, is coming up to its conclusion too. I don't know how many sessions it'll be. It could be 5, it could be 15, but it is coming up. We are over 100 sessions, and it's coming. My players are focused on the goal, and they are definitely wrapping up some loose ends before they wrap up the biggest loose end, which is saving the area that they're in. And I have been thinking about how I want to wrap up this campaign. My campaign is very standard. Beat the big bad guy, save the region that they're in. Possibly the world, but definitely the region. And I think I'll probably do a very similar thing to what my GM did, which is have the action of the campaign wrap up and then have a session where my players go over what happens to their characters, where they go from there, what they're doing in the next few days, what they're doing in the next few months, what they're doing in the next few years, and how their story comes to an end if it does. I think that's a good way to do it. And maybe if there's some things we never got to, maybe we can have some one-shots in the future with these characters. Maybe we can do the trivia option that one player did in my other game. Have a little, reflection session where my players can ask me questions and I can reveal answers. I don't think that my next campaign is going to be in this setting. I think I'm going to start an entirely new setting. So I don't really need to hide anything. I can reveal everything, although I pretty much have. And we can just have a reflection session, chat session. And I know that that's very similar to how Critical Role used to do it. Now it seems like they do more of a session to session breakdown, and Dimension 20 does a similar thing where they have the chat directly after the session about what happened in that session. And they might have a longer chat at the end of a campaign. But for me, I do talk to my players, but I do like the idea of having a big long chat at the end and having the players give me their feedback about what they liked, what they didn't like, what they want to see in the future if they play with me. Have that time of reflection. Maybe one of my other players would like to run something for a brief bit or something like that. It's bittersweet when things come to an end, but I'm not one who is afraid of change. I'm not one who's afraid of things ending. I think that it's good for things to end. I don't necessarily enjoy never-ending sequels. I don't enjoy never-ending shows. So that's just kind of how my opinion is nowadays. I've never been someone who wants something to go forever because I love it so much. So, yeah. Have any of you played in a campaign that did eventually come to an end? It doesn't necessarily have to be a level 1 to level 20 campaign, but have you been in a mini campaign that's come to an end? Have you been in a long-running campaign that's come to an end? Did you run a module that came to an end? Did any of you have one of those campaigns that came to an end for unfortunate reasons? The DM got burnt out. A player had to go. There was a unresolvable interpersonal issue in the group that ended the campaign. Please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear. But I think the best way to end a campaign is to talk to your players and ask them what they would like to do, how they would like to handle the final bits. Do they want to have a clean cut, never talk about this campaign again? Or do they like the idea where you kind of keep coming back to it, maybe having a one-shot here or there with those old characters, or a trivia night with things you might have forgotten over the many years you played in a campaign? So let me know. What do you think about all that? But I think the best thing to do is, as always, communicate with your players. TTRPGs are supposed to be collaborative stories, and thus the ending should be collaborative as well. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video with me just kind of talking about things ending, campaigns ending. I hope you're having a great day. If you're not having a great day, I hope your bad day is over with soon. and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye!